Right now, right now. 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 Oh, I got a real good feeling. Got a real good feeling. Like there is lightning deep in my bones. Yeah, I got a real good feeling. I won't hit no ceiling. I'm going higher than I've ever known. Yeah, I got a real good feeling. Got a real good feeling. Like there is lightning deep in my bones. Yeah, I got a real good feeling. I won't hit no ceiling. I'm going higher than I've ever known. I got a real good feeling.
Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we are joined by a very special guest, none other than Ben the Armstrong, BitBoy Crypto himself. How are you doing, Ben? It is a pleasure to have you on the show.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, I would say.
Awesome.
Obviously, Bitcoin's down a little bit today, but you know, is what it is.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. One of the questions we're going to have for you a little bit later is we're going to be talking about what you think about the big crash that we saw last Tuesday. We're going to be talking about where we think that the price is going to be going next. And then we're also going to be talking about what your altcoin picks are for the year of 2022. I know you are a big guy on altcoins. I'm trying to get more into them myself, and I know the audience is looking forward to that. Before we jump into it, though, I also want to introduce my co-host, Tim. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing good. Better than Ben, probably. He probably lost more money in that little small Bitcoin crash, and he roots for the Falcons. So I'm sitting pretty good right now.
He went there.
You know,
He went
so.
there.
Also known as the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, no, they're definitely gonna give when you lose to Philly like that. Yeah, you ain't sitting pretty.
Well, Philly is a bottom 3 team.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the fact that we got destroyed by a bottom 3 team, that tells you everything you need to know. We just have no defense.
Oh yeah, fixed.
I could rant about this all day. So
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, at least you had a nice seat though. You know, that was a
You
good
do have a
view.
nice seat up
Yeah, we got a suite over there at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They finally put our sign up. We got it all year. Well, we actually signed a 5-year contract for it. So
Dang.
we were sitting at, you know, season tickets last year. We were on the upper level, and now we're in a suite. So it's pretty sweet.
It is pretty sweet. Well, guys, if you haven't already subscribed to BitBoy Crypto, you guys need to. He is one of the biggest YouTube channels in the crypto space. In my heart, you are still the biggest, Tim. Ben. I'm so used to talking to Tim on the show and not Ben. Tim, you're the biggest crypto YouTuber now. Did you know that, my friend?
Physically, I would love for that to be my mantra, but I don't know if that's accurate.
It is true. You know, Ben, I have one question for you that's a bit of a joke before we get started. Everybody says that you and I should mud wrestle, and I know that I will lose that. But
Yeah.
Tim might be a worthy competitor. What do you think?
Mud wrestling Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Well, are we going like 80s wrestler style with like
no
just
idea.
a pair of Speedos on, basically?
I have no idea. This was not
I think
my
that's the
idea.
only way to
Ask
do
chat.
it.
Chat, how are we supposed to do this?
That'd be rough.
That sounds like it'd be pretty rough.
That's the only way to do it right there.
That is the only way
I
to do
mean,
it right there.
I think we may have to do it. You know, I mean,
That gets some views, huh?
Yeah.
Tim will automatically
Yeah,
become
I
a top
think
5
you
crypto
got me
YouTuber
on
from that.
size a little bit there.
Say what?
You seem like a big guy.
Yeah,
you,
no,
you may have me on the numbers there.
Oh my
I would imagine.
Tim was my trainer before he came to work for me, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Ben, I know everybody is anxious and ready and willing to get into the content here. I want to ask you a few questions here in the first little bit of the stream. One of the first things I want to ask you is about El Salvador. As you know, El Salvador adopted Bitcoin fully and officially on Tuesday last week, and within a couple of hours of that news breaking around 11 o'clock Eastern time, Bitcoin crashed nearly 25%. It dropped over $10,000 very quickly. It was one of the biggest corrections that we've seen in a very long time, and I think you and I would both agree that there was a lot more going on there than just a long squeeze. There's a lot more going on there than just a buy the news, buy the rumor, sell the news event. I think we would both agree that there are forces at play that had that to happen. But I want to ask you this, considering that the sentiment and the nature of the market remains pretty bullish, and the number of outflows on exchange, which we're going to talk about in a second, continue to increase, the number of people that are taking money off of exchange is continuing to go up. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? Why is it struggling so much to recover from this correction and even entering a descending trading channel that we're seeing right now? Why do you think that's happening?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because, you know, if you compare this to what happened back in May, Obviously, May was a much larger crash. I mean, it crashed, I think it was 53%. I can't remember the exact number now, but it was larger than a 50% correction. But if you looked at what was going on around that time, you had the Elon Musk tweeting about Bitcoin, trying to assassinate it every time it started to make a move up. You had him tweeting out all the environmental FUD about Bitcoin. You had China imposing their Bitcoin mining ban and what we call the 30 days of Chinese FUD. It was a very strategic plan as they're, trying to push forward their digital yuan, along with, doing some work with the financial cartel and helping spread out the Bitcoin hash rate. And then they're getting something in return for that I can't really say what it is, but people over the next couple months will be able to figure that out probably. So you had all of that stuff going on during that time. It's different now. Where's the FUD?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the FUD? Where's the strategic organized FUD? There is none. There's none at all. We're going through the same regulatory stuff we've been going through, but none of it is super negative. We had I can't ever remember who is in charge of the broker language in that infrastructure bill, but whoever is supposed to enforce that, whether it's the IRS or Treasury, whoever it is, the Fed, they've already said they're not going to impose it the way that it's written into the law. So there's really nothing going on right now that's super negative towards Bitcoin or towards crypto. In fact, it's quite the opposite. So to me, when I see this going on, when I just saw, God, I think it was $1.2 billion worth of Bitcoin just float off exchanges, something like that. MicroStrategy just bought another $250 million worth of Bitcoin. When you're looking at what the institutions, you're looking at what the corporations, you're looking at what the whales are doing, it's very obvious that a move up is coming sooner rather than later. But in the extreme short term, we just can't seem to get our head above water. I mean, I remember this weekend, there were several times that I checked. I was like, oh, it's back at 46,000. Okay, good. We're getting that upward momentum. And I check an hour later, we'd be right back to 45. Yep. It seems like there's no chill once it gets close to 46. It's like, boop, right back to 45. And Bitcoin has been moving very strangely over the weekend. So whenever I see kind of strange movements, that tells me there's probably some manipulation going on in the markets. Now, I don't have confirmation of that. Oftentimes when there is manipulation, I do get, messages or transfers or things that do show me that that's going on. Right now, I'm not seeing it. So, what happens, so people kind of understand the way the manipulation to the upside works. Is this why you have giant candles in 10 minutes sometimes?
Like we're seeing right now, by the way. The
institutions, they come in, they manipulate the price up, and then they have to let the retail support build. They can't do it all in one swift move or else it'll go right back up and right back down. So it's kind of like a 3 steps forward, 2 steps back kind of process. So right now we're not seeing the retail support there, and that is a little troubling. The question is, though, is how much manipulation is keeping it from moving forward. And it's a very easy process to understand. Basically, there are just a ton of sell orders set at every major number. And as soon as it hits those numbers, those sell orders trigger off. And that's how, these institutions can put billions of dollars worth of, sell orders at different levels.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly what we're seeing a lot of that right now. A lot of these institutions, like you talk about quite a bit on your channel, are trying to hold the price down because they want to buy more. I think they see the writing on the wall, not just with Bitcoin, but with other projects like Ethereum, Cardano, which just had Alonzo launch. We're going to be talking about that in some content coming up on our channel later on today for everybody who's interested in Cardano. But one of the things that is happening right now, actually, literally in the last 7 minutes, Bitcoin has exploded from 44,700 to 45,700. So I'm going to throw in an extra question here. Why do you think Bitcoin just... I know this happened literally as we were talking, so we don't have time to really dig into this and do our research because it's happening live, but do you think that there was a big pause over the weekend? Well, there was a big pause over the weekend. Do you think the big pause over the weekend was as a result of everybody being bored of crypto, and now that it's Monday, Bitcoin is skyrocketing? I mean, we're at 46,000 now. It's literally up 3.5% in just the last 10 minutes. What do you think's going on here?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, here's the facts, and people don't really necessarily agree with me on this. I still think I'm going to be proven right. We don't have much longer in this bull run left. I do not believe in a January, February, March all-time high. I think we're actually going to be sitting at lower numbers in January, March, and February. I don't know why I said those out of order. Than we are at right now. I think we'll go all the way back down to 20K or 15K possibly if we do hit the $100,000 level. I think we're going to get there very quickly between now and, probably the middle of October. I thought probably the first week of October for a long time. The longer it goes where we were kind of standing still, I mean, I think that gets extended out a little bit. So because of that, like at some point, we're going to have to see really explosive moves. And, when we see those explosive moves, they're going to be fast and furious. So they are going to come in waves. And it's funny because this is exactly what we were just talking about. I mean, this is not people sitting at their computer at 9:30, like, let's wait for the traditional markets to open it. Now we'll pump the price of Bitcoin. That's not a real thing. So when you see these giant moves and this big volume spike, like we just saw, that's institutions moving it up. That's institutions telling you where they're wanting the price to go. But we need the retail sentiment. Over the weekends, there are very few institutional and retail traders trading. And that's obvious because the volume, drops way down over the weekends. So what that means, if the institutions do bump up the price of Bitcoin over the weekend, then at that point, they're not going to have that retail support to sustain it and keep it going. So it makes a lot more sense for them to do it on a Monday. And then if you look what happened last Tuesday, it was the exact opposite. They waited for the traditional markets to open, for the traditional person. Labor Day was Monday. So Tuesday, they did the opposite. So they pumped it down or dumped it down on Tuesday. So very similar to what we're seeing right now, just the opposite direction.
Right. Okay. So I'm understanding what you're saying here. And I think that, as you know, we made a video yesterday where I was saying that I don't fully agree with you on the $100,000 thing by mid-October.
USOB, Jeb.
That's how I work. I'm sorry, Ben. We got to do it for the views. Everybody watches when you and I disagree. ATB, same thing here. That's what we got to do. I'm sorry. You understand how this game's played. Anyway, as you know, don't fully agree with you on that, although I do see your understanding, and I would love to give you a platform here on my channel to explain why you believe that and what you believe so that I'm not in any way building a straw man against your argument. But before we do that, I want to hear your opinion on that $15,000 to $20,000 price target for the bear market. What do you think will cause the market to go that low since we've seen so much of that retail sentiment build up? And then, of course, I would love for you to clarify with the audience what exactly your position is on that $100,000 price target.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess really that's where I have to start is the price target,
Sure.
and then then it makes that number $15,000 make a lot more sense. So, earlier this year, and last year, I believed in a $200,000 to $300,000, actually $322,000 Bitcoin. That was my number I thought we were going to see. I've had to adjust that for a multitude of reasons.
Sure.
But basically, we had the middle of this bull run. We had 3 months of this bull run literally chopped out of it, removed from it. That was manipulation on the way down. You look back at what was going on with the coordinated FUD between China and Elon Musk, who's a facilitator for the big money. Not high on the totem pole himself, but he does have a lot of power. And these people were forcing the price down on purpose. The powers that be, as I call them, the financial cartel, they do not want a $300,000 Bitcoin. Even though all the numbers suggested that should have been in the cards. The reason for that is simple. If Bitcoin goes to $300,000, it will break the stock market. No one would ever want to invest in the stock market again. And when you think of the financial cartel, they have to keep all the pieces aligned. If they were to lose the influence over the stock market and over corporations, that would be bad for them over the long term. Of course, we're talking about the central banks of the world. We're talking about, your BlackRocks. We're talking about your JP Morgans, a lot of the big investors. They're all involved in this. And so why would they want the stock market to be broken? And that's what would happen if Bitcoin rose to the prices. So basically what happened is they chopped out 3 months of this bull run, and now the number is 100,000. And they want Bitcoin to hit $100,000 and then pull back. Now, if you look at something called the golden bull ratio, this is something that we talked a lot about on my channel. It's how we came up with a September 28th date, which has always been a mile marker, never like a set in stone date for the end of the bull run. It's based on 51% of the bull run occurring between the bottom of the market and the halving, and then 49% of the bull run happening from the halving to the peak of the market. You apply that math out, there is no such thing as a longer cycle. They all go by the same proportion. And we know the numbers from the bottom of the market to the halving, and that puts the end of the bull run sometime at the end of September to the beginning of October. And so I know right now that defies logic to think how we could possibly get to $100,000. I don't know. Maybe we get an ETF announcement in the next couple of weeks that could send it up there. I don't know what the catalyst is going to be, but we're going to move fast. And this is not going to be moved into next year where we're going to have positive stuff. In coordination with what should be the top of the market, we now have what I believe to be deflation coming into the United States economy. This is going to do all kinds of stuff. I could go, much deeper into that, but that wasn't the question. Deflation is going to trigger a total market collapse of traditional markets and crypto markets. Crypto markets we saw in the pandemic crash of March 2020, it is not immune to the flux of the regular markets. And so because of that, we are going to see, in my opinion, all, stock market, housing market, crypto markets all drop before the end of the year. So there's no way with this deflation setting in, and you see the government's talking about, they're pulling back the bond yields, which is the sure sign of what's coming. So when you see all that, to think that Bitcoin somehow is going to hit new all-time highs next year, I just don't see it. Bitcoin traditionally retraces 85%. So if we see $100,000 Bitcoin, that would put Bitcoin somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000. This idea that we're too far along in adoption right now, that's the exact idea that always triggers the bear markets to go to the depths that they go to. Now, could we see Bitcoin maybe go down, 70% instead of 85%? Possibly. But the crash we had in May where it dropped 55% in a day, that doesn't instill a lot of confidence that we're not going to hit an 85% number over, the one rough year of downward momentum in a bear market. Because a bear market only lasts 1 year. The difference is it doesn't feel like you're in a bull market because, let's take Bitcoin in 2017, for instance. When Bitcoin rose to $20,000 in December of 17, it bottomed almost exactly 1 year later at like $3,200. So from 20,000 to 32. Well, when it hit $3,200, that was really the start of the bull run. That was the bottom of the market. But the problem is because you're used to seeing numbers around 10, 12, 9,000, 17,000, 20,000, a $6,000 Bitcoin doesn't feel like a bull market. But in fact, that was a 100% gain. And it got back there pretty quickly within a few months. Now, we did have the pandemic crash last year, which put it back to 3,900. But that's an outlier. I don't think we're going to see, something like that again. But it still wasn't a new low for Bitcoin. So it wasn't a bull market, basically from the end of December 2019 and beyond.
Good. Okay.
2018, excuse me.
So one question I have for you then, following up on that, is if deflation is going to set in, and I see the argument for that. I've actually studied a lot of economists that believe we're going to be moving into deflation for the reasons you're talking about, bond yields, and the Treasury, the Federal Reserve has been talking about cutting quantitative easing because, as you talk about on your channel quite a bit, the last thing the Federal Reserve wants to see is for the U.S. dollar to lose its footing or for the Chinese yuan to start trying to take dominance from it. America is like 60% of world reserve currency status right now. I think the Chinese yuan's 3 or 4%, but that can switch very quickly if the dominoes start falling. They don't want that to happen. They want to ride that line of inflating the economy and being in control of the U.S. dollar, but also not losing control of the U.S. dollar. I have a question for you. If deflation is going to cause a big crash in the stock market, is that right?
I do believe so.
Okay, if we're going to see a big crash in the stock market coming from deflation, but the financial cartel doesn't want to, and I'm just clarifying here, but the financial cartel doesn't want for Bitcoin to go to $322,000 because that might cause a stock market crash, then is the financial cartel not in charge of the Fed also? Do they not believe that that's going to cause a stock market crash and not want that to occur? How does that work?
They're in control of everything for sure.
That's what I thought, yeah.
They're certainly in control of the Fed. They're in control of the SEC. They're in control of the Fed. What do people think these G8 and G20 summits are? This is where the central bankers come and hand out the marching orders to the leaders of the governments. So they're certainly in control of all that. But here's the difference. It's not, there's a difference. The deflation is going to cause a stock market crash. Okay. And once again, I could give you the whole spiel about why that is. It's not going to be immediate. So the crash may not even happen until the beginning of next year, possibly, but I think it'll happen at the end of this year. But the thing is, there's a difference between what I'm saying, where if Bitcoin were going to 300, it would break the stock market. A broken stock market means no one wants to invest in it anymore because crypto is so much more exciting. There's no reason to invest in a traditional market and get a 5% gain over a year when you could get, a 7,000% gain every 4 years.
Right.
It still wouldn't make sense to just put money in Bitcoin, money in Bitcoin than to ever invest in the traditional market. So, but a crash is something that they can still control on the way down. They can short it on the way down. People will come back to it and people will be looking for opportunities to find the bottom of that.
Right.
Whereas if Bitcoin were to go up so massively that nobody ever wanted to invest in the stock market again, then they lose the stock market. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
a difference in a crash and a broken market.
Yeah, because you don't, I mean, the word I'm thinking is obsolete. They're worried about the crypto markets making the stock market obsolete. Right now, Bitcoin and crypto is worth, $2 trillion. The New York Stock Exchange alone has $30 trillion being traded on it. So they obviously are worried about that. A follow-up question on that is that, and by the way, everybody who's watching right now, Ben, obviously this is a very complex theory about what the future of Bitcoin and crypto might look like. We don't have time to go into it fully here on this channel. Please go subscribe to BitBoy Crypto at the first link in the description box down below. He's got a ton of content explaining this more in detail. He obviously can't explain everything having to do this in one live stream, so make sure to go and check that out. But a follow-up question I have for you is, do you think that it is inevitable that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency are going to end up overtaking the stock market in total market capitalization, retail investor interest? Do you think they're delaying the inevitable, or do you think the stock market will always stay on top?
That's a good question. I mean, my inclination is to believe that we will dwarf the stock market at some point. So I think the stock market is somewhere around 80 trillion, no, maybe $60 trillion. I don't know what it is. It's a lot. It's somewhere, actually, I'm sitting here thinking maybe it's $30-40 trillion. I've looked at a number. There is a chart that shows it. So let's see.
Stock
Market chart. Let's see if I can pull it up real quick and see if I can find it. I'm probably not going to be able to because it's too hard to find. But it's certainly in the tons of trillions of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the reason why the crypto markets have a better chance to dwarf the stock market. How much? I need to look this up before I go crazy. How much money is in the stock market?
That's what I'm trying to find out too.
That's a great question.
I'm just looking for the market cap of the S&P 500.
The New York Stock Exchange is 15 trillion. This one's saying 19.4 trillion.
The S&P is 38 trillion.
I think there's about $85 trillion in cash in the world is what I was thinking about. But the point here is, so let's say there's 20 trillion on the stock market, New York Stock Exchange. Let's say there's 30 trillion overall in market, somewhere around there. Crypto will pass that easily. Like Raoul Pal, who I recently interviewed on my channel, he says $200 trillion. So here's why that happens. Number one, crypto is a completely international borderless market.
Yep.
If you live in China, you cannot buy Apple stock. Now, in crypto, we've got protocols that allow for tokenized stocks, derivative stocks for people to invest in Apple from other countries and do it legally. But you can't, they actually shut down an exchange called BIS, which is where people could stake IOST early on in the IOST project. That exchange got shut down, and I think like 20 people got arrested. It got raided by the Chinese police or Chinese military. It wasn't for anything they were doing in crypto. It was for selling American stock. So crypto is an international market where anyone can invest. That opens it up for all the people of India, all the people of China. Those people can't invest in American stocks. So when you think about that, it really starts to compound how much money can come into it. Yep. Number two, through projects like Ethereum, we can actually bring the derivatives market to the regular person through crypto. So when you start thinking about that in the synthetic assets, like I was talking about with projects like Synthetics with an X at the end, of course, we know Binance was trying to sell tokenized stocks. I think they already got in trouble for that. So it's got to be a decentralized protocol to be able to do it. But just so everybody understands the derivatives market, the estimate is in the world, isn't it? There is about $500 trillion worth of real assets, whether it's real estate or whether it's cash or whether it's money in markets or money in businesses, money in gold, money in crypto. About $500 trillion is a good estimate. There's another quadrillion dollars. 66% of all the money in the world is derivatives. So when you think about how big that market is, and through projects like Ethereum that they can bring that market to the regular person, it makes so much more sense. Like the stock market can't do that. Stock market can't bring in, an additional quadrillion dollars worth of money into the market. So, 200 trillion, I'm sure that's where Raoul Pal is getting that number from, is that derivatives market. And that's not even talking about the entire decentralized infrastructure of the internet that we're going to have in the future. So when you look at Web 3.0 and the decentralized internet and everything that all the smart contract, projects bring to the table there, we look at NFTs, we look at DeFi, like it just, the stock market is very small compared to what crypto is going to be in the future, I believe. Now, once again, there is an element of control in all this that basically the people at the top have to give it the okay to get bigger than the other markets. But I think at some point the writing's going to be on the wall.
Interesting. So one final question on that topic. Then I want to ask you a little bit about altcoins because I know you love altcoins, and our audience, I'm sure, is rearing and willing to hear that. If the financial cartel right now has so much of their power coming from the stock market, I would say that the majority of that is coming from the amount of money that these people have in the stock market, the influence they have over world governments, the influence they have over. Go ahead.
The stock market is not their main point of control.
Okay, so where does it come from? I want to so that I can ask a question.
Yeah, it's the bond market.
Okay.
The bond market drives the entire world's economy.
Okay.
And that's where they have the very, very most control. That's why when pulling back these bond yields, that's why deflation's coming. When they start pulling that back, it's all control and they're pulling it back. Stock market is certainly part of it.
Okay.
It's a large part of their plan, just like crypto is. They're playing for world domination, which they already do. They already dominate the world. For control and for stifling markets and letting the rich be richer and the poor be poorer. But I do want to just emphasize, like, stock market is not the top market in the world where that gives them their control.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's the most visible, so people think it's the largest. But one stat I read was even that there's $2 trillion in the derivatives market. It's impossible to calculate how large it is.
Quadrillion dollars, you meant?
You said 1 quadrillion. I've read stats that it was 2.
Yeah, you said 2 trillion.
2 quadrillion, excuse me, not 2. I know, I can't. I'm not used to saying the word quadrillion talking about numbers. Whatever it is, it's enormous, and I think pretty much every economist in the world agrees it is by far and away the largest market on planet Earth. My question for you is, how will these people, these elites, these people that are in charge, how is their base of power going to shift, and what is it going to look like moving into the future as crypto moves into that $200 trillion territory? Because I fully believe that crypto is going to be a $100+ trillion market. I think Bitcoin's going to $1 million. I think Ethereum's going to 50,000. I could see Cardano going into the multiple hundreds if these top 3 cryptocurrencies and a lot of the smaller cap altcoins manage to do what they have set out to do. I think we're going to see $100 trillion+ market capitalization. What is the financial cartel going to look like in 15 years' time when we see the market that large? Are they going to be deriving most of their power from the crypto markets, or is it still going to be seated in the bond market? What's that going to look like?
Yeah, well, I think the bond market is really what drives everything. So that will continue. The bond market is what people have to understand. The bond market is what finances governments. Like the people giving the government money ahead of time and saying, here, let me give this to you now, government. Now go spend it on a tank or go spend it on whatever you need to spend it on. Finances wars. Wars, as you know, are the biggest business there is in the world. So, you know, the bond market will continue to be the key linchpin to have control over every government, every country in the world virtually. As we move into a virtual world, I guess, you know, literally and virtually. But when it comes to the stock market and, you know, where they're playing a role in this, we gave a message to people over the summer. We said, don't sell your Bitcoin.
Agreed.
Don't sell your Ethereum. And then, of course, I eventually changed that also to don't sell your Cardano and don't sell your XRP. And your XRP is simply because that's going to be a giant returning coin. For Cardano, Ethereum, and Bitcoin, and now Solana as well. Solana has moved up into this as well. The institutions are, and the institutions are the financial cartel. You got they're one and the same. They're trying to gobble up as much as possible. There's one coin that the financial cartel has missed out on, and that is Ethereum. Through the futures market that was established this year, they're trying to gain as much as they can of it. They want you to sell so they can scoop it up. That's why we see like the price dropping, but whales are moving money from exchanges.
Right.
They're the same people. So many of the top 100 wallets, a lot of people think the top 100 wallets are a lot of miners. There are some miners in there, but there are now, it's over half of the biggest wallets in, it's either Bitcoin or Ethereum. I can't remember which one it is. Over half of them have been created since 2019. These are not early players to the game. These are late players to the game. These are the institutions. They own a large percentage of those wallets. So when you look at what they're doing, they're trying to get you to sell. Now, they missed out on Ethereum because the Ethereum community is so rabid and they have such high expectations. They can't get them to sell Ethereum no matter what they do. Cardano, they're going to find is the same way. But in Cardano, they're still early enough to where they can accumulate. The name of the game for control is accumulation. When we're talking about whales accumulating, this is not, you know, that nerdy guy in the basement from 7 years ago. This is somebody sitting in an office calling shots around the world with buy orders everywhere at every price level. Okay. So their game is to try to dominate the crypto market. That's the only way they have control, is accumulate and dominate. So, whenever you're selling during now when you're selling in a bear market, okay, at the top of the bull market, you're going to be well off, at least for this next cycle, because you're still going to be able to sell the top and buy back in a bear market. I don't know if we'll have that chance in 8 years from now, because they'll own too much at that point, and maybe then we do see the cycle slow down. But when you're selling in a bull market, you're just handing money over to the people that want to control it. So the plan is accumulate, control, and dominate.
Absolutely. And that's one of the my philosophy for the last 4 years that I've been in crypto is buy, hold, don't sell. I don't care what's going to happen. I'll be honest with you. I bought Bitcoin at $18,000 in December of 2017. I bought Bitcoin at $60,000+ earlier this year, and I bought it at $3,000 when I first got into the space, and I bought it at $3,200 in December and January of 2018 and 19, and I bought it at $4,500 last March. What I think a lot of people do is they have this mindset of trying to buy low, sell high. That's great if you're a trader, but if you're an investor, I personally think that you should follow along with what these whales are doing, and don't try and fight these giant institutions that you don't stand a chance against. Use their own logic and make it work for you. Buy as the market grows and stop worrying about selling at the top of the bull market. Buy, accumulate, and hold, and then you're going to obviously not have 100,000 Bitcoin in a wallet like some of these whales do, but you're going to be using a similar strategy that's been working for them. Ben, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I want to ask you one final question. Other than these 5, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, XRP, and Solana, because I know you are a fan of all 5 of those, what are your top 3 altcoin picks for the year of 2022?
Yeah, so we made a video people can go check out where we gave our top 5 for 2022, but I just like to highlight 3 of them. Now, look, there's no guarantee that these are going to go up in US dollar value in a bear market, but I believe that these are 3 projects that have a great shot to move up coin market cap numbers wise and position themselves the best for them to be the top 10 in the next bull market. So I got projects that I believe have a great opportunity, but we're looking at moving up on coin market cap. Like during a bear market when everything collapses, like there's only one of these coins I believe has a great shot to go up in also US dollar value, but these are good hedges. I would say number 3, I would go with Theta. I think Theta is a great project. It uses processing power from different computers to give better live stream performance. Now, that would be for Twitch, YouTube. They've got advisors from Twitch and YouTube on their team. When you look at, and this is a content creator, when you're live streaming, the quality is not peak.
Yes,
it sucks. When I'm live streaming, I'm watching a TV of myself and chat and all kinds of stuff, and it's super high quality. It's straight from our cameras. But when it hits the live stream,
it runs through YouTube and they compress the hell out of it.
Significantly. It's because YouTube doesn't have the bandwidth. They don't have the power.
Right.
Now, here's what people don't know. Live streaming is taking over the world.
Oh, heck yeah.
Live streaming is going to dwarf regular videos and views if it's not already. It's going to dwarf them very soon. So fundamentally, Theta is such a good project. They've got NFTs launching on them as well. We did an NFT drop with them recently that performed really well. It was an NFT of my nipple, if anybody wants to go see it. We called it.
I must say I'm not going to buy that one.
Heck yeah, baby.
Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah, maybe we can do a part 2 and we do the mud wrestling. But
there we go.
So that's one project I really like. Number 2, another project that I said is my number 1, until it has a pump to the top 10, it's going to stay my number 1 project with the most potential is Elrond. Elrond is a smart contract platform. They're starting to get other coins launching on them right now. They're getting into DeFi. It's the internet scale blockchain is what it calls itself. And it's one of these projects that has so much good stuff going on with it. And yet it's had some price pumps, but it hasn't had that move that Tezos or Solana or Cardano have made to where they get themselves in the conversation. Terra Luna, another great one. These have all moved into the top 10 or at least got to number 11 or so, and they do it very quickly. So when Elrond has that move, the smart contract platforms move in waves. When its wave is up, which it may be going on right now, it's starting, I think it's going to be a massive, massive, massive gainer. It's one of the fastest projects in all of crypto. You use 3 different charting methods, a lot of good stuff. My number one project for the bear market for 2022 is Chainlink. And why is my number 1 project Chainlink? It, in the bear market, outperformed everything. Funny enough, we believed that that was going to carry forward into the bull market, but Chainlink has actually vastly underperformed in the bull market. And to me, that is a good indicator that I believe it's got a great chance to repeat the same cycle, to where when everything else is dropping, it's going up. Another project with huge fundamentals. They're partnered with everybody in crypto. I think we're partnered with, they're partnered with everybody. Yep. Every project out there, every YouTuber. It's funny. There's a chart that shows the partnerships in crypto, and it's got like 10 times the next one. It's insane.
Wow.
So it's got a good message, good marketing. It's an Oracle's project. So bringing off-chain data on-chain, which is basically helping businesses sync up to blockchain. And I think that real fundamental real-world use case, or the fundamental real-world use case, is what drives that growth in the bear market when it can really shine. So I would definitely watch for Chainlink to be one to hedge your bets. It actually increased during the bear market instead of decreased. It's one of very few projects to do that.
Well, there you go, guys. You heard it here first. Theta, Chainlink, and I'm blanking. It was Theta,
Elrond.
Chainlink, and Elrond. I'm sorry. I literally had it right in my mind right when I was about to say it, then slipped. Either way, Tim, you were raising your hand. You want to say something?
Well, here's the thing. I know Ben's got to go soon, but I
Yes.
just wanted to give him one final piece of advice, because as Jeb said, I'm the biggest YouTuber in crypto,
it's
in
true.
the whole crypto verse. So here's the thing, Ben. I know you're trying to grow your channel. You're doing good. But here's the thing that I've learned in crypto: you can't make a prediction and then change your mind. So moving forward, you're not allowed to change your thoughts just because you see something different. That's not how this world works. Once you say something, it's concrete, it's final. So hope you use that well, as you go forward. So
For everyone,
I think old information is always better than new information.
absolutely.
I mean, it's been around longer.
Absolutely, yeah. That's you're starting to learn, kid.
Thanks.
for everyone new here,
I'll
Tim's
make it
joking. It is very, very, very important to be able to update your predictions as new information comes in. So I don't want anyone to take me disagreeing with Ben as like, oh, well, Ben, you're locked into this prediction and literally nothing can change. That's obviously not the way this works. And you guys have to understand, Alessio Rastani talked about this a lot back when he was doing a lot more on YouTube. You need to be able to update your predictions the moment that new information comes in. It's very important to be able to move quickly. Smay, you want to say something?
Yeah. So a lot of people, I just want you to confirm and take a moment real quick for me, Ben, to confirm
Oh, gosh,
the
I'm
fact
scared.
that you are in fact my dad, right? Like that, a lot of people have been
That's
asking
true.
about it.
People have been
That's
asking
true,
that.
right?
People have been asking that.
No, son.
Oh,
No son?
what?
That's a contradiction.
We'll talk about this later, okay? We'll talk about this later.
Well, listen, the milk wasn't going to get itself.
I was about to say the cigarettes weren't going to get themselves. We're thinking on the same wavelength.
Oh my god.
Ben, we're going to pull an ATB here. You got 30 seconds. What is your parting thought to our audience before we wrap out and let you go?
It's another one of those days. Don't sell your Bitcoin. Don't sell your Ethereum. I gave you all the reasons why that is the case. This reminds me of when I said, in the middle of July, the price was going to go up. I said that 2 months before. It was given to me on good information. July 20th, the last day of the middle of the month of July, the price at 29,000, and a few days later was all the way up at 40, at least spiked off of 40. So right now, I'm feeling like we're kind of in that same wavelength to where, everybody's like, oh, you said the price are going to go up, so they're going to go up, and they're not going up. But always when Bitcoin has its back up against the wall, it makes those really positive big moves. And I think it's coming soon. I think Ethereum is moving soon. So everybody hold on. We just saw a big move this morning. Hopefully that can continue.
Absolutely. Well, Ben, thank you very much for coming on the show. I really appreciate you showing up. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure to go and subscribe to the BitBoy Crypto channel. They are one of the largest crypto YouTubers in the space, and for good reason. Make sure to check out that link in the description box down below. Ben, I will see you tomorrow on ATB. It was a pleasure having you, my friend.
We'll see you, Jeff. Thanks.
Take it easy, buddy. Thank you very much for coming on.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, guys. Well, that was BitBoy Crypto talking about his predictions for what the future of this Bitcoin bull market is going to look like. He gave you his analysis on what the top 3 altcoins outside of the big ones that you commonly hear about are. Make sure to go subscribe to his channel. And by the way, we have 6,000 people watching and only 1,300 likes. I know we can get to 2,000 likes here in the next couple of minutes. And by the way, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We're one of the fastest growing cryptocurrency analysis channels on YouTube. We try to bring you high quality educational and informational content every single day of the week with integrity and humility, because it is our mission to make you financially free. We do that by educating you on crypto markets and covering all of the latest topics and all of the latest trends. So we got a lot to cover, and moving on into the rest of this stream. A couple of the things I want to talk about moving on here have to do with an article that I have up here on my screen really quickly. And this is something that Ben actually mentioned and that I meant to ask him, but we were running long. Bitcoin outflows continued despite price correction. Over $10 billion in Bitcoin outflows. Within the past 7 days, about $10.8 billion in Bitcoin were transferred from exchanges to external wallet. Bitcoin outflows last week yielded a negative flow of $1.2 billion, which means there were more outflows than inflows, which were $9.6 billion for these times. Ethereum also recorded a negative net flow of negative $545 million per Glassnode. We can see from Glassnode alerts right here that there was 1.2 billion that went off exchange on Bitcoin, and there was 600 million roughly that went off exchange for Ethereum. Same thing for Tether, 360 million went off there. So what I want to ask the audience, and I'd also love to hear your opinion on, Tim, is this retail taking their money off? Are these whales? And what should we take into consideration here when we see that the price is, as we're going to talk about in a second, we're going to get to TA in a minute, how should we be looking at this when the price is stagnating, but people are still pulling money off of exchanges? Tim, should we be excited about what the next month holds because people seem to be very bullish and they're hodling? What do you think?
We'll talk about it here in a second. I think that this is actually still according to plan. I think that this is whales taking their money off and buying back low. As you guys just saw, we're going to talk about it here in a second. What was built in 15 minutes crumbled in about 2.
Yep.
So that
I have
was
it up
nice.
on my screen.
That was
right
nice
now.
and fun. I actually think that this is what we just saw happen in this price action was actually the whales giving us a little feel. This was a, hey, let's see how people respond when we do this. And they bought up a lot real quickly, said, okay, good test. They'll go ahead and sell. We'll come back down.
Yep.
So if you guys looked, what we were going to talk about earlier is we were in a descending wedge that when I first saw that breakout, I was like, holy crap, did we break out of it this early? That's pretty early. We came right back down into it. All's as well. Like I said, it literally was like a Cardano testnet. You know, they just tested it. Didn't, go as well as they wanted to, but they came right back down. It's like, hey, we're not launching it just yet. This is a test. I think this is the same thing. I think the whales are preparing to go ahead and fully launch what they want to see in this price action.
Yeah.
What we just saw was a test, and I think it was actually a pretty good test.
Yeah, no, what we saw, in case you guys weren't watching the markets while Ben and I were talking, I can show on our screen right now, Bitcoin just had a gigantic movement over the last 45 minutes. Looking on the 1-minute chart, Bitcoin rallied from 930, literally the minute we started this stream, at 44,700, all the way to 46,900, a $2,200 rally in 5% in the span of 16 minutes. And then in the next 18 minutes, we dropped $2,700, and we're actually lower than where we started right now. What Ben was talking about, or excuse me, what Tim was talking about, you guys have moderately similar names, and it's throwing me off.
3 letters,
Yes, they're 3 letters. I'm going to start calling you Timothy. And
None of them are
Benjamin.
the same, but they're 3 letters.
None of them are the same, but they're 3 letters, and they almost rhyme. It's kind of like almost, That's how music works nowadays. Nevertheless, we saw that massive test like Tim was talking about, and we are in this descending triangle pattern. For any of you guys who out there are watching the charts right now, this descending triangle pattern is actually very, very important, and it is one of the factors that I think is going to play into the next couple of days here on Bitcoin. I think we're going to see a big breakout of this, but one of the topics for discussion for today is what happens in the next 7 days on Bitcoin. Are we going to see a big dump down to support levels that we'll talk about here in a second first, and then we see the rally? Or are we just going to see a massive rally starting off from there? That is the question on the table right now. Tim, in 30 seconds, tell me what you think. Are we going to see a big rally here starting in the next day or two, or are we going to see a big correction, a few $1,000s, and then we'll see the rally?
The thing about what's going to happen is the timing is the hardest thing to predict.
Yep.
But what is going to happen is we're going to go back down a little bit, or at least this is my prediction. We're going to go back down a little bit. I actually think we're going to break through, as Jeb kind of has drawn right there for this ascending triangle, I think we're going to test below that line. I think we're not going to go like 5,000 below it. I don't think we're going back down into 30,000s. I think we're going to dip back down somewhere between 42.5 and 44,000. I realize that's a pretty good size range. It's a $1,500 range, but it's going to be somewhere in there because I think that we're actually seeing a mini accumulation phase of what Wyckoff talks about happening with all this manipulation. I went and looked at it this morning. Kelly was the one that pointed out, if you look at where we keep retesting prices, what the volume is doing, this is exactly what Richard Wyckoff teaches about how manipulation happens in the market. What just happened was kind of my confirmation. If any part of me was thinking we were not in Wyckoff, that kind of test that we just saw from Wales, it to me is the exact evidence we needed to say this is manipulation. They're testing the waters to get ready for their rally. So when it happens, get ready. The problem is it's really hard to know exactly, is it going to happen today, tomorrow, next week.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you. I think the next 7 to 14 days are going to be very bullish on Bitcoin. But the question is, where do we bottom out first? Because right now we obviously do have downwards momentum. Looking here on the daily chart, there's obviously been this major correction on the 7th of September. That was last Tuesday as El Salvador was launching Bitcoin. But we also saw that we're in this descending triangle pattern. I want to really quickly run over our bullish technicals and our bearish technicals. Then we'll come to a conclusion and I'll tell you where I think we're going. First things first, there is some major bullish RSI divergence on the daily chart for Bitcoin. You can see the uptrending level of support right here and the downtrending level of support right here. Bullish RSI divergence, as many of you guys know, is a very powerful chart formation. Whenever you see RSI divergence, you would be wise to listen to it. Why? Because RSI divergence has a very strong historical trend of being accurate. Whenever you see RSI divergence based on the historical trends, which is what technical analysis is based on, historical trends, you should be paying attention to it because it's probably going to be accurate. What is it telling us? It's telling us bullish, and it's telling us very bullish. This RSI divergence has been playing out for the last 41 days. When RSI divergence goes on for that long, it's probably going to see a very powerful movement. Notice we have a downtrend level right here, uptrending level right there. That is classical bullish RSI divergence. Another thing that we need to mention has to do with the much anticipated and much talked about golden cross on Bitcoin. It's likely to be occurring within the next 72 hours. You can see our 50 moving average coming up here to cross the 200 moving average. We have not seen a 50 daily SMA golden cross ever since May of last year. It's been 14, 15 months since we've seen one of these last, and I've talked about them many times on the channel here. I think that golden and death crosses are a little bit overplayed. I think they are very lagging indicators. They're not the most important indicator in the world, but they are generally going to be bullish or bearish. In this case, this golden cross coming in is likely going to have a major impact on sentiment, and that's something that we should definitely be keeping our eye on as people get very excited for a golden cross like this. Another thing that I want to talk about is the fact that the TD sequential is currently sitting on a red 7. What does that mean? Well, I actually just made a video for an upcoming project about TD sequential, and TD sequential has to do with counting candlesticks. It counts from 1 to 9, and whenever it hits 9, as you can see right here, it is predicting that there is going to be a reversal. In our case right now, we're sitting at 7. We've counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That means within 2 days, if we continue sideways into the downwards direction, then we're going to see a 9 flash that is bullish. That's a good sign. And it does indicate that just about no matter what we do in the next 2 days, so long as it's still bearish, we should see bullish confirmation coming in just the next couple of days. Now, one of the final things I want to talk about here is that there is some very powerful Fibonacci support sitting right beneath us. If we draw our Fibonacci from right here, our Fibonacci retracement using our bottom here at 37,500 on the 4th of August, all the way up to our local high, then there is a golden pocket between 61.8% and 65% sitting at $43,000. It's potential that Bitcoin could pull back down here, test it, and bounce. If we, on the other hand, draw our Fibonacci retracement this way, both of which I would argue are valid, then we see that our Fibonacci golden pocket is actually where we started the last one, which is at 38,000. I don't think we're going to go down to 38,000, but the point of that is to know that if we do go down to 38,000, there is strong support there, so keep that in mind. With that said, I want to go over the bearish technicals as well, so I'm going to go ahead and clean my chart here. One of the first things that I want to talk about on the bearish technicals is down on the hourly chart, and I mentioned this briefly earlier, but I'm going to go over it really quickly. There is a descending triangle pattern or a descending wedge, depending on how you draw it, on the chart, and neither one of them are very bullish. We just went over the bullish, now we're going over the bearish. This is a continuation pattern, and it does have a tendency to break to the downside. Descending wedges and descending trading channels both statistically are likely to break to the downside. So we're trending to the downside right here. If we use a very typical measurement and price target, then we can see that we would be expecting Bitcoin to pull all the way down to $37,000. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it would make almost no sense for Bitcoin to go that low, but just so you know, this pattern does have a price target below 40,000.
Do you mean descending channels? Because you said wedges.
It is a descending trading channel, excuse me. If I said wedges, I meant
I want to make sure people... So
yes, absolutely.
I want to back up. Descending wedges traditionally break bullish.
Yes.
Descending channels traditionally break bearish.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Because a descending channel oftentimes will form what is known as a bear flag. In this case, a bear flag would be pointing us to around that $37,000 region. I don't think we're going to go there, but that is what it is saying for those of you there. Looking at the 1 hour chart, also another one daily chart, excuse me. Another thing I want to bring to your attention is the VPVR, the volume profile for the visible range. If we look at VPVR, we can see that there is next to no support beneath us until about $40,000. Look over here. There's almost nothing in this territory, which means that if we start falling, then the next major level of support is sitting around $40,000. In fact, there was a local high on it back on the 15th of June. That's at $41,750. And below that, then we start seeing more VPVR support, but there's not much until then. So if we do start breaking to the downside, which quite frankly, it looks like we might be doing right now, then we are more than likely, based on that technical indicator, going to see a correction down to those regions. Another thing I want to bring to your attention is Lux Algo. You guys know we're a big fan of Lux Algo here at the channel. It has given us some fantastic signals, and Tim's actually talking about setting up some trading based on Lux Algo to show you guys its performance. There is now, in fact, in my notes, it said a Lux Algo signal, sell signal cannot be far away, and then ever since I wrote that note an hour ago, there has now been a sell signal on Lux Algo on the daily chart. The last time we saw a sell signal on Lux Algo was on the 11th of May at the very beginning of our downtrend. Lux Algo has a very, very strong history of calling downtrends, as you can see from this data right here. There was an outlier right here that wasn't that great, but for the most part, this indicator is very powerful at calling downtrends and giving you accurate signals. Right now, it is giving us a sell signal on the daily chart for the first time in 3 months as of literally this hour. If you guys want to sign up for Lux Algo, I highly recommend it. The link is in the description box down below. You can use coupon code JEB, J-E-B-B, for 20% off at checkout. It has quickly become one of, if not my favorite technical indicators in all of analysis. With all of that said, though, I am bullish on Bitcoin for the next several weeks. I'm not bullish on Bitcoin for the next several days. There is a big difference there, and people oftentimes don't realize that there's a difference, but there is. Bitcoin can be bearish for the next 3 days and bullish for the next month. Why? Because it goes bearish for 3 days, and then the rest of the month it goes bullish. You can look at the market like that, and that's what and I think Tim are thinking, is that we're going to see maybe some kind of correction over the next couple of days. But in general, I think based on what we're seeing earlier with on-chain metrics like people pulling money off of exchanges, and news like we just saw not even that long ago of Michael Saylor, buying more Bitcoin. These are all big, very powerful reasons to be bullish on Bitcoin. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Give me a 1 if you think Bitcoin is going to crash down to that $40,000 region, or a 2 if you think it's going to be in a big rally over the next couple of weeks. With that said, Tim, let's go ahead and catch up on Super Chats.
Yeah, we got a decent amount. Real quick, I would give one more take, just so people know, while we were live with Ben, the price was pumping. People were like, go look at this. It's amazing. We're rallying. Then we dumped back down to pretty much exactly where we had started. Then we dropped even lower. You guys are not looking at charts right now. We're down to 43,700. That's getting pretty close to where the original dump was back on what day? I'm on the minute chart at the moment, so that's a lot of the 7th. 7th, back on the 7th. Before you freak out and either FUD out and just sell your Bitcoin because you're like, oh no, this is the beginning of the end, or you FOMO in and say, oh no, this is the perfect time to buy, just pause and take a breath. The brain telling you this is the moment you have to do something is the exact brain waves that the whales are counting on to mess with you.
Yep, absolutely.
They are doing this to the price. Again, that pump was a test. This little crap, I bet you we're going to be popping right back up into the descending wedge that we formed. These are just shakeouts. This is them trying to say, hey, who can we get rid of because they have a weak mind?
Yep.
Don't fall for it.
Yep.
There's nothing crazy happening right now. I mean, there is crazy happening, but there's nothing worth making a move off
They
of.
want to scare the hell out of you and get you out of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So they want to scare the Bitcoin out of you, I suppose you could say. So don't let them. Hold your Bitcoin. Buy when it goes down. Don't get upset because there's a Black Friday sale going on. Most
of these super chats are going to have to do with Ben, so I'm going to read them, but they probably will not have too much of a response. Kelly first commented. He said, FUD wrestling match. That'd be pretty fun. I don't know about a mud wrestling match. I don't know if Ben really wants to. I think sometimes he says things because people say, but I don't even think he'd want to do that. I'll do a regular wrestling match with Ben. You don't need to involve.
I would pay to see either one of those.
Yeah. 4 by Grace with his verse of the day said, 1 Peter 1:23, being born again, not of corruptible seed, but of incorruptible, by the word of God, which liveth and abideth forever.
Amen.
Thank you so much, 4 by Grace. Moving
Thank
forward,
you.
Wayne Kerr said, oh my gosh, Jeb and Ben side by side on full screen. My dream come true. Okay.
There you go. That's an interesting dream, but there you go.
Rick4962, our favorite landscaper from Knoxville, Tennessee. I don't even think the comment had. Oh no, he does. Yard dog.
Yard dog.
Yard dog.
Ben and Elon in a mud pit match. Anything goes. Yard dog landscaping.
That's right, yard dog.
Yard dog.
Corey. Gosh.
Could you do the landscaping on that?
Yeah, my gosh. Corey said, hi, Jeb and Ben. Great way to start off the week with you two. Ben, I'm inclined to ask you to say V-Chain is dead, and also thank you guys for all you do.
There you go. Thank you.
The average AF podcast says, please take a look at the chart if you haven't already. We just did. Yeah, so people
go.
were just clamoring on.
These are from
during
like
the
45
thing.
minutes ago.
Yeah, Jeremy Fleck. Good morning. Y'all, have either of you thought about having Raoul Paul on for chat? Thank you. Y'all are the best. I think Ben just had him.
Just had him, yeah.
This week, right?
I'd love to have him on.
Yeah, Raoul,
work on it.
You're coming for our channel.
Greg, if you're watching, go get him.
Kelly then commented again. He said, formerly known as Charismatic, and I approve of Ben's message. Elgrond and Link, both excellent altcoins to hold. I hold good percentage of both.
Drop a 1 in chat if you'd
There
like
you
to see
go.
dedicated content on both of those altcoins.
Last two I see here. David Nelson said, bearish engulfing on the weekly. I didn't even, I don't always check the weekly.
Really?
What is happening
Let
on
me
the
look at
weekly
that.
right
I haven't
now?
noticed that.
Here we go.
Bearish engulfing on the weekly. Oh, he's right. He's absolutely right. There is, jump to my chart really quickly. I'll show you what he's talking about. There is a green candlestick, which represents the 30th of August, and then there is a red candlestick, which represents the 6th of September, those weeks. This is what is known as a bearish engulfing candlestick formation, and it is very bearish. This does indicate probably a couple weeks of bearishness. We're already seeing the second week of bearishness come in. That could be support for us to get support, I suppose I should say, backing for the theory that we're going to move down to $40,000 to $42,000. Good spot.
Yeah, no, I think a perfect spot for a spring would be right around the 42.5.
Yeah,
so if
I
it
can
goes
see
a little
that.
bit lower than that, that's okay, but that's a pretty good.
But then
angle.
also, guys, keep in mind, let me show you here on the chart, there was a bearish engulfing candlestick pattern right here, February the 15th to February the 22nd, those weeks, and the market rallied from there. Now, of course, we were close to all-time high. We didn't go very far, but, you don't want to take anything as gospel other than the gospel, and the bearish engulfing candlestick certainly isn't that. So understand that there are going to be times where things aren't going to go exactly the way the chart says they're going to.
Yes. All right, let's go back to super chats and get them.
To a beans.
Asif Ramzan said, hello, this is Asif from North Carolina. I'm assuming North Carolina, NC.
Hello,
I have
Asif.
12,000 in Cardano. If I hold these until next year this time, what is your price prediction on July of 2022 for Cardano?
Oh boy, I think Cardano is going to be over $10 by then. In fact, we're going to be doing content this afternoon on Cardano, so watch out for that. I'm going to talk about why I think that.
The only question I would have, Jeb, to clarify that is, I think a lot of that prediction depends on when a bear market starts and ends.
It does.
So
It does.
what would be your prediction in terms of, do you think we're in the same bull run and it's at $10, or do you think we've already hit a bear market and we bounce back and it's back up to $10?
No, I think we're going to see it hit $10 a lot earlier than July. I think it's probably going to happen at the latest Q1 of next year. And the reason is because smart contracts just launched. Now, look, DeFi is going to take a while to get built on Cardano. There's a lot of people that have been ready and willing and waiting to see Alonzo launch so they can start building things on smart contracts. Cardano is about to have its use case shoot through the moon. It's an $80 billion promise right now, but yesterday it turned into an $80 billion potential, and that is a big deal. I really do think that that's going to be worth $500 billion in the next 12 months. I don't know how exactly that's going to line up with the coming bear market, but at the same time, I think the bull market is going to last a lot longer than just through October. I think it's going to last into Q1 at least. I don't think deflation is going to cause a major bear market that soon, although I do think that it might be. I'm still debating on whether or not I think deflation is coming in the way that Ben thinks, but I understand his argument. I think this bull market has a lot of steam left in it, and I think that Bitcoin and Ethereum and Cardano are all going to see new all-time highs, and I do think that Cardano is going to go over $10.
Gustavo N said, any opinions on Zava, Joe, Near, or Sand? Thanks.
No.
I mean, those are
I'm
all
sorry.
altcoins. No, yeah.
I do not. But you have a cool name. I have an opinion on that.
Gustavo.
Well, guys, that's pretty much all we got for you today. If you enjoyed today's show and you'd like to see more guests, make sure to smash that like button. Let's see if we can't get to 3,000 likes here in the next couple of minutes. It has been a pleasure having you all today.
I also just want to clarify. I didn't know that it was going to be perceived as being serious. My rebuke of Ben. I thought
That was pretty
I thought I
obviously a
dripped
joke.
it pretty well in
Yes.
sarcasm.
That was pretty
But for
obvious
anyone
sarcasm.
who didn't realize, yes, you constantly need to be updating your predictions. The reason we disagree with Ben is not because he updates his predictions.
No.
Every person should
No,
update their predictions.
everybody should update their
We just
predictions.
disagree with his updated predictions.
Yes.
So that's all it is.
Also, I think an important thing to say was I think he's just being silly. He is still, in
Yeah.
fact, my dad, guys. So like,
That's true.
he's just being silly.
He's just trying to disown you. It's the way he shows love.
That's just him being,
It's commitment
funny.
issues.
Just don't
He's
worry
working-
about it,
It's
guys.
commitment
Just don't
issues
worry about
for
it.
him. It's true. Yeah, well, guys, before we go, I do want to mention one thing, and that is where you guys can learn everything that you need to know about technical analysis. We have been doing technical analysis here on this channel for 4 years in November, and we have helped to change the lives of tens of thousands of people by teaching them the art of technical analysis. It's what the bankers, it's what the investors have been using for over 100 years to make their clients money and to make themselves rich. Technical analysis is the way that you will become profitable in cryptocurrency markets. You must understand how to read the charts and how to analyze them if you want to be successful. And that's why I created the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy nearly 4 years ago now, about 3 years ago. It was launched on September 23rd of 2018. It's 3 years old now, and in that time, we have taught thousands of people how to do technical analysis through 45 videos and over 14 hours of high-quality educational content based on my thousands of hours of experience in this market. We take people's feedback and we say, okay, boom, how do we make this course better? How do we improve this? How do we bring a better user experience to our subscribers and to our members? And we have turned this into the best cryptocurrency technical analysis course in the entire space. And if you want to learn how to do technical analysis, you absolutely need to check the link in the description box down below. Why? Because the best investment that you will ever make is an investment in yourself. Better than Elrond, better than Theta, better than Bitcoin, Cardano, Ethereum, XRP, or Bitcoin. The best investment you will ever make is in yourself. Why? Because if you don't understand how the markets work, you're not going to understand what markets to invest in. So you got to understand how the markets work. You got to understand technical analysis, and we are hands down the best place to do so. You can find the link for that in the description box down below. That's all I got for today, though. Before we go, is there anything else, Tim and Smay, that I need to cover?
That's it.
Cool beans. That's all I got for you today, guys. Make sure to smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're going for 300K subs by the end of the year, and I know we're going to get there, and you can help with that. Before I go, though, guys, that is all I have for today. Before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.